Hello there, my young readers, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome. If you couldn't tell by what's behind me, the story that we've got coming right at you is Thomas. He's on deck and he's brought some friends. So go ahead, get your snacks, get your drinks, pause the video, run to the bathroom, come on back, sit down, relax, and stay tuned. The name of this story is called Tale of the Brave, part of the Thomas and Friends series. Enjoy. It was a busy day at the clay pits of the island of Sodor. Thomas was there helping out. That afternoon, dark clouds filled the sky and cold rain started to fall. As Thomas rolled down some slippery tracks, the clay wall next to him began to drip and ooze. Thomas saw strange marks under the falling mud. They looked like giant footprints. Later, at Brindam Docks, Thomas told Percy about the footprints. "I don't know what could have made them. They were bigger than any animal on Sodor." "Do you mean they're from a monster?" Percy wheezed. "Don't be silly, Percy. There's no such things as monsters." Percy couldn't stop thinking about monsters. As he came to the top of a hill, he saw a strange shape in the distance. "What's that?" Percy puffed. "I hope it's not a monster."
"I don't usually get mistaken for a monster,"
the big engine tooted.
"but they do call me Gator. It seems folks think I look like an alligator."
Everywhere Percy went that night, he thought he saw strange creatures. Trees and haystacks became monsters. Laundry on a clothesline looked like ghosts. Percy was so scared he didn't even deliver the mail. The next day, Percy saw James.
"Hello, scaredy engine," James puffed. "Seen any monsters lately?"
"You can tease all you want," Percy peeped, "but Thomas saw giant footprints at the pits. There might be monsters on Sodor." James was busy thinking about monsters when he turned the corner into the scrapyard and came face to face with jagged teeth and crooked claws. "No!" James peeped. "Help!" James realized it was only a pile of broken metal. Down at the docks, Percy saw Gator.
"I'm headed across the sea soon,"
Gator puffed. "I wish I were as brave as you," Percy peeped.
"Being brave is not the same as not feeling scared, Percy. Being brave is what you do even when you feel scared."
Percy decided to be brave and pulled the mail trucks that night. His boiler bubbled boldly as he chugged across the countryside. Nothing scared him. "Gator is right," he tooted. "I can be brave." Meanwhile, Grumpy James was not as happy. He needed to haul a train full of fresh fish. As he rounded a bend, he saw a large, shadowy shape. He didn't realize it was Gator. James raced away. He was so frightened that he jumped off the rails into a pond. James had to be hoisted out of the pond by Rocky. When the other engines saw him, they had a good laugh. "You were meant to deliver the fish," Henry puffed, "not throw them back in the water." James didn't like these jokes one bit. He'd show everyone that Percy was the real scaredy engine, not him. That night, Percy saw something unusual, something big. This wasn't a haystack or a funny-looking engine. It groaned and flashed its big teeth in the moonlight. Percy didn't want to be brave anymore. He dropped his mail trucks and raced back to the sheds. The next day, Thomas saw James with a truck full of scrap, right where Percy had seen the monster. "James," Thomas tooted, "you made a monster out of scrap metal to give Percy a fright? You need to find him and apologize." The two engines split up to find Percy. Percy found Gator on his ship. "I'm going far away," Percy puffed. "I'll show everyone how brave I can be." Gator thought for a moment. "Running away from your problems is not very brave, Percy." Thomas chugged across Sodor looking for Percy. But when he heard a distant ship blow its horn, a terrible thought flew into his funnel. "Oh no," Thomas peeped. "I know where Percy is going." "Percy, come down!" Thomas whistled. "You can't leave!" Gator peered over the railing of the ship. "Percy's not here!" Thomas could think of only one other place where Percy might go. Night was falling as Percy quietly rode through the clay pits. He stopped when he reached the warning signs. "If I can find the footprints, it will prove the monster is real," he thought. "Then everyone will know how brave I am." At that moment, James rode up. He started to apologize, but Percy interrupted him. "I'm braver than you ever be," Percy puffed. James didn't like Percy's attitude. "If you're so brave, why have you stopped at the danger signs?" Then James saw something in the moonlight. It had claws and teeth. "The monster!" wheezed James. He tried to back up, but the walls began to rumble and tumble. "It's a landslide," Percy peeped. "Go forward, James." Percy pushed James out of the way. Mud slid down, and the monster's head started moving towards Percy. That's when Percy made a discovery. It wasn't a monster. It was some sort of rock. The next day, Thomas carried a group of scientists to the clay pits. They were amazed by what Percy had found in the mud. "It's a dinosaur fossil," one scientist explained to Thomas. "Fossils are what we call bones that have been in the ground for millions of years." Soon, the fossils were put on display in the town square. Sir Topham had addressed the excited crowd. "Today was made possible by a very special engine. Percy is not only a really useful fossil hunter, but also one of the bravest engines on Sodor." But Percy was not there. Percy was at the docks, saying goodbye to Gator. As the ship sailed away, James rode up and apologized to Percy. "Gator gave me one more piece of advice," Percy puffed. James pulled closer to hear the wise words. "He said not to let you near the pond anymore." Even James thought that was a funny joke. The friends whistled with joy. Well, this ends our story. And I told you guys this was going to be a good one. And you know what? Thomas and Percy lived up to it every bit. What did you all think?
Now, don't forget, there's one other character that deserves some credit here. Karma. Karma was all in this story.
Yes, she was. I forgot all about that, but you are so right. Karma came in and didn't just show up, but showed out.
Yes, she did. And she showed out all on and over James. If James would have just, I don't know, kept his mouth shut, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad for him. But my mama used to always say, if you don't have anything nice to say, say nothing.
Nothing. I
And
know it
that's
well.
advice James should have taken.
I totally agree with that. And unfortunately, James just could not get out of his own way. He kept, inserting foot, open mouth, insert foot kind of thing. And the problem with it was, even though he had a fear that after speaking with Percy about the so-called, monster, it did stick in his mind. And even though he teased Percy about it, he had a little bit of fear. Okay, he had a lot of fear about it.
He did at that. But let me tell you, I really loved Gator. Gator went around and just dropping knowledge. And one of the knowledge that he dropped that Percy really took to heart was when Percy told him he wished he could be brave like him. And he told him, he said, being brave, it doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means what you do even when you are afraid. So I'm like, I love that. And I love that Percy took that to heart and was able to conquer his fear, which he did with that knowledge.
He sure did. I was pretty proud of Percy, and I'm sure Thomas was too. It was just really cool to see him be able to overcome his fear like he did in this story.
And I have to give it to James, because even though he got checked by karma, he also became a bigger engine in terms of he did apologize to Percy because he knew he was wrong, and karma checked him for it. So applause for James. And little darling, that's my time. I have got to go, and I will see all of you all in the next video. Bye!
Well, there goes Miss Triangel. And like I was saying, this was a really good story, and it brought a lot of takeaways with it. And I hope you got a lot out of it. Well, until next time, my young readers, I am your little darling narrator, out.